everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing another one-take wrap-up, this time for the month of July. So first off, this was going to be a bonus Wednesday video, but I think it's just gonna have to be a Sunday video because I have no plans for this week's video, but that's fine. I don't have a lot to wrap up either, to be completely honest. July was hectic. I had my NCLEX, which is my state board test to become a nurse. I had an interview for a job. I got the job and I went to the job. So it was a lot. And it's just been overwhelming to start a new job and everything. But I am sort of getting into rhythm, kind of. And I think part of it, I was just also in a really big reading slump, but I'm sort of feeling a little bit more like reading now. At least I really feel like picking up some romances. So let's go over the 5 books that I did read, even though 2 of them are actually rereads, so that's fine. First, I read Lucas by Sawyer Bennett. This was a romance that I listened to on audiobook on Hoopla, and I really liked it, and I would actually like to read the next one in this series. Now, Lucas is actually number 8 in the series. I don't really care about the first 7. I mean, I actually probably would like them, and I could tell which characters were like characters that must have already gotten their own book. But the next one is actually going to be about the sister of the hero in this story and his roommate slash friend, and I just think that'll be so much fun. But this one is about Lucas, who is a hockey player for something, and that's like he's quite famous, I guess. I don't understand sports, but he is pretty much just young, rich, and, you know, works really hard, but he's a bit of a bachelor, and he meets the heroine, whose name I don't remember, and they have like one weekend, and then she ends up pregnant. So that is the plot of the book. It is a surprise pregnancy, which I really enjoy. I think they just create some of the most fun stories that also have a lot of like emotional like depth to them. So I really enjoyed this book. She went through a lot in this book, just like emotionally dealing with confronting and like accepting the pregnancy, as well as dealing with her own family problems. So I really enjoyed this book. I enjoyed the couple. It was really great. My only thing that I didn't like, and I'm not sure I even marked it down a star for this or anything, but the timeline felt a little weird to me. Like, the book ends and she's only, I don't know, like, I think it ends like in her first trimester. Like, you don't really get that far into the pregnancy during the main portion of the plot, and then there's the epilogue that, you know, talks about her having the baby. But I did really like it, and I will for sure be picking up more books by Sawyer Bennett in the future. Next, I read Barbarian Alien by Ruby Dixon, and I absolutely adored this one. So last time I wrapped up that I read Ice Planet Barbarian, which is the first book in the series, and I liked it. I didn't love it. There were some things that I really did not like in the book that sort of turned me off from the whole book as a whole, but I really enjoyed the story, like, idea, like the setting and the whole premise of the book. And so I picked up the second one. The second one was so good. These 2 characters, whose names I also do not remember, I loved them so much more than the first book, and like to see them go from such opposition to like actually caring for one another kind of as friends, and then like really accepting each other as mates, was just so good. And then the way that they really chose each other in the end, no matter what the consequences were, it just, my heart, I just loved it so much. And he was such a great hero, and she could be a little annoying at times, but I think that's just kind of how Ruby Dixon writes her women, is they're just they're a little dramatic, let's say. But overall, I really enjoyed this book, and I can't wait to keep reading on in this series. I meant to pick up more of those this month, but reading slumps. Next, I reread The Kiss Quotient by Helen Wong. I was thinking that a reread would really like push me to read more. I'm not sure it did, to be completely honest. This still took me like a week and a half or something, which doesn't sound like that long of a time, but when I'm looking at as just a solitary month, that's a long time. Especially for a reread of a romance, no less. But I did really enjoy this reread. I love these characters. I think this needs to be made into a movie. Is it being made into a movie, or is that something I have just thought of in my head? I'm not sure, but I think it would make a great movie with, what is his name? Henry Golding would be perfect as the main character, I believe. And either way, love this book, love these characters, love the steaminess, I love the character development, and I just really, really like Stella as a character, and I just think it's such an interesting story to tell that we haven't seen a lot of. Like, you don't really see ASD representation in many books. Like, off the top of my head, this is the only one I can think of. So I really, really like this book, and I just love these characters so much. And I'm really glad I reread it, because this is one of the first romance books that I ever read a long time ago, like 3 years ago. So like it had been so long, and this was one of my first like dives into adult romance, so it was a really fun one to revisit. It was back in like, I read like The Hating Game, I read this, I read 50 Shades of Grey, because at this point, who hasn't read that, and a couple others, but this was one of those like very first romance books I read, so it was really fun to revisit, and like I said, I just love it. So 5 stars. I haven't been doing ratings on these books. I think they've all been 5 stars, so in case you haven't noticed, I kind of give everything 5 stars unless I really hate it. So next, I finished the Loki Agent of Asgard collection comic book by Al Ewing. I don't know how to say his last name. I really, really liked this one. It was very interesting to be able to see Loki from a different perspective. This is, I believe, a newer-ish comic book. It's from 2019, so yeah, it's pretty recent, and I definitely see the influence of like the Loki fandom, I guess you could say, in how his character is currently being portrayed. So the way that Loki is perceived in the MCU, you know, like everyone loves him. Who doesn't love Loki? And he started off as, you know, quite a evil character, but because so many people love him, he's really evolved quite a bit to be that anti-hero character. Not that that's not what he was in the comics all along, but it's really evolved to be something entirely different, and I could see that influence in this comic book, and I really, really loved it. And just like generally, he had to go through so much in this comic book, and I'm missing a piece a little bit. I should have read the Kid Loki sort of origin story before I read this one, because what happens to Kid Loki haunts this Loki throughout all of the comic books, and it was really sad to read. It was just really like haunting, and I was emotional about it, but I also didn't fully understand because I have not read that comic. I pieced together what happened, but yeah, I really loved it. I love Loki. He was gender fluid in this one, if you have not ever seen that before, which I really loved. He was also at one point a unicorn, so that was fun, and there was just a lot. There was a lot of cool stories. This also had a little bit of the Axis storylines where all the heroes become villains and all the villains become heroes, and that is one that I would really like to get like the full story on with all the characters, because that one was a lot of fun. So I loved it. I love Loki. This was so good, and I can't wait to read more Loki comics in general, and also just Al Ewing. I'm probably butchering his last name, I'm sorry, but he has written most of my favorite Marvel stuff so far, so I definitely want to read more by him. Next, like I said, that reading slump was just really getting me, so I picked up another reread hoping it would do something. It kind of did. I reread Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. This is the, what's her name? The Mina Lima? I've never noticed all these details completely on the side. Version. Anyway, it's illustrated, it's beautiful, like, there's all this, oh no, all this stuff. I'm dropping the little papers out of here. You probably don't have to keep them. I'm just paranoid that if I don't, like one of the illustrations will break or something. But this was a gift from Caroline on Bookstagram, and I finally picked it up and looked through all the illustrations and read the book, and I loved it. I love Harry Potter. I love Sorcerer's Stone. It was fantastic. 5 stars. It was really fun. I watched the movie as well recently, so I really enjoyed this. I definitely want to keep rereading some of the series because I want to listen to the audiobooks. So that is my July wrap-up. Like I said, not a lot. I only read 5 books, and 2 of which were rereads. But that is okay. I enjoyed everything that I read. I am starting to feel less reading slumpy, so we will see what happens from here. But that is my reading month. I hope you enjoyed. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!